Hello, 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 everyone. Brian here, coming to you from GayC DC HQ, somewhere secret location. Um, just got some practicing in and wanted to go over some of my favorite AC/DC albums, catching up with all the other guys and what they've done. And one of the things that makes this band really, really special is we all bring a different version of our favorite AC/DC to the table. And I am one that definitely brings a different version of AC/DC. Glenn is probably the one that closest resembles my tastes in the band. But I will say I'm a fan of both eras. But I saw AC/DC for the very first time in 1981 on the For Those About to Rock tour. That was the album I got the day it came out. I lived in Boston and went to a store called The Coop, and they had a huge window display of For Those About to Rock, and I just had to have it. I knew AC/DC, of course, but that was the first album that I bought with my own money. Someone had given me a copy of Back in Black, but For Those About to Rock, I dived right into. And I saw them on that tour. I'd known AC/DC. Obviously, Highway to Hell was played everywhere, and everything from Back in Black was on the radio. So, of course, I knew the band. I liked the band, and I had just started getting into them during Back in Black and discovering some of the Highway to Hell album. But For Those About to Rock, that propelled me into AC/DC fandom, especially after that show. So, on the Bond side, I would have to say my favorite album is this one right here, Power Age. For me, this is the album with the best Bond lyrics. It seems like Bond was really writing about life and his life, and Rock and Roll Damnation, Down Payment Blues, right there. That's worth the album right there. But then Riff Raff, Sin City, Up to My Neck in You. This album, as I would discover later, to me was the favorite of the Bond era. And this one is absolutely my favorite Bon Scott album. But I have sort of a favorites, if you will. I call it my F menage a trois. The F albums, For Those About to Rock, Flick of the Switch, and Fly on the Wall. For Those About to Rock, what else can I say? The title track, Let's Get It Up, Evil Walks, Put the Finger on You. You can't go wrong with this album. This is amazing. And the last one they did with Mutt Lange. It has a different sound than Back in Black. Still the raw sort of AC/DC sound, but with that sort of finesse that Mutt brought to it. What I loved about the band right away when I saw them is how raw they were live and just unrelenting. And I think this album captures a lot of that feel. This album came out in 1983 when I was in high school, and got it immediately, and I really fell in love with this album. Title track, Flick of the Switch, amazing. Guns for Hire, which is the song they opened with on that tour. And the funny thing about this album is I think it actually was sequenced backwards. I think starting with song 6, Guns for Hire, I think that should have been the opening song. And maybe that actually was the case. There is a great book out called AC/DC Album by Martin Popoff. And he goes through each AC/DC album with a cast of characters and some of the people that were involved in making the album, some of the people that played on it. And for this one, Simon Wright, I think, weighs in because he did the tour, obviously. Phil had left. But songs like Bedlam in Belgium, Badlands, Brain Shake, these are all songs that I was driving around at the time, blasting out of the car stereo. So these songs have a real emotional attachment to me. And then we come to Fly on the Wall, and hence the Fly on the Wall shirt, because I'm going to say that this is my favorite AC/DC album. And there are very, very few of us. I am in the minority, I know. This does not mean that I negate anything else that the band had done before this. This album to me emotionally has a lot of impact for what I was going through personally at the time. It came out at a time when pop was really all over the radio. Heart had put out their comeback 80s album, and as much as I loved that album kind of really is a snapshot in time of what everything sounded like then. And AC/DC put out this album that was just unlike anything I'd heard on any other AC/DC album. You sometimes can't make out Brian's vocals, and he sounds like he's singing from a drain, and the guitars, but the songs, man, the songs, I tell you, Fly in the Wall, amazing song. Shake Your Foundations, First Blood, Dangerous, Sink the Pink. Almost Sink the Pink and Shake Your Foundations are sort of pop songs in the AC/DC canon. Stand Up, Hella High Water. These are great songs. This tour was amazing. This was probably one of my favorite AC/DC shows. But I'm wondering if any of you else out there are fans of this album. I know, like I said, we're the minority, but I think it really had the band come out at a time when hair metal was on the rise, and they were just anti-everything. They were still AC/DC, they didn't change anything, but they were definitely the black sheep in what was out at the time. And they just were, again, following their own rules. Bands like ZZ Top and AC/DC, although ZZ Top pretty much changed their sound as they went along, and these guys didn't. For me, my favorite albums sort of end here. My next album that I would have picked up as something that I listen to and I go back to a lot is Black Ice. I think there's a lot of great songs on Black Ice, especially War Machine. But interested to hear what you guys think. If any of these albums, of the F albums, Fly in the Wall, Flick of the Switch, and For Those About to Rock, if anybody are as big a fans as I am of these three albums. And as I said, that's what makes GayC so great, because everyone has a different favorite album and a favorite version of the band, and we all bring those together. When we first started the band, we agreed that we were going to do Heatseeker from Blow Up Your Video. It's a great song. We changed it to Cocksucker, obviously, and we all have a blast playing that. So that's what makes this band great, and I am firmly of the Brian era, but love me some Bond. Like I said, Power Rage is my favorite album. So thanks for tuning in. I'm going to sign off here from GayC HQ. I hope all of you are well, healthy, staying safe, and for God's sakes, wash your fucking hands. Out.